hope all of you enjoyed those films which were part of the entire contest that we have, the top 15. So by now we have screened all the top 15 films. The winners, the top 3 winners will take away cash prizes worth 2,20,000, but that will be given away tomorrow. That is on the last day of the festival. Right now we have a panel discussion coming up. For that, first of all, I'd like to call upon stage Rahul Krishan Ahuja, an entrepreneur and a major in advertising and cyber law, cyber forensics and IPR law. Rahul is also a risk management and crisis consultant and was a financial analyst in Shanghai before founding Pandolin, and also founded One Media Labs Private Limited, and also a young and experimental fashion brand, 3-Piece Company. Most welcome. I'd also like to call upon stage our panelists, Samujjal Kashyap, member of the organizing committee, Meena Longjam, Pallavi Barua, and Tanushree Hazarika.
Hi everyone, good evening, thank you for staying. First, begin with a round of applause for this team for presenting this amazing festival for all of you and for the state. So everybody knows, I still do a little introduction. Tanushree is a high-flying entrepreneur who's left a high-flying career in Boston and moved here to be in the state. So Bombay has Kapoors and Khans, and I've realized Guwahati has Hazarikas. So at the helm of the filmmaking culture here. And then we have Meena Longjam, who's part of the jury for short films that you've seen. She's in the selecting committee as well, I believe, and has selected films out of some 3,000 entries? 300 entries, beg your pardon. And she's also an award-winning filmmaker. She made a film called Auto Driver, which was about a female driver and the daily casual racism faced by her. So if you haven't seen it, go watch it. And then we have Pallavi Chumki Barua. She runs a production house for films and theaters. She made sure that I call her a food connoisseur as well. And she runs a festival for food in Guwahati as well. Food Awards, wow. And yeah, she runs a consulting firm, a law firm, construction firm. Yeah, and she goes to party after that. So that as well. And then we have Samujjal Kashyap. He is a National Film Award winning director of the film called Tezpur. It's about the Chinese and the Indian aggression on the borders. And it's a must-watch film for everyone. So it's available with National Film Development Corporation, yeah? Yeah, so Film Division has a copy and you can buy it on Amazon. So I'm going to start the panel. One round of applause for these guys. I hope you now know who these are if you already didn't know that. Did you know them? No? Yeah. All right, I want to start with Tanushree. I mean, running a festival in Guwahati, how did you think about it and what are the challenges? You've done it for 6 years, and what do you plan to do with it? So if you can sort of run us through the whole 6 years and what the next 6 years are going to look like.
So, I've never been into films in a professional way. So I run an agency for events and brand comm and advertising. So, Rima Kakti, who's a film director in Bombay.
Director of Honeymoon Travels Private Limited and recent successful Gold.
Talash and Gold. And so she's a dear friend, and so we were once discussing stuff, and she's like, you know what, Northeast really doesn't have a good film festival. And I was like, yeah, we keep doing events, but have never organized one. She was like, okay, let's go for one. I was like, yeah, let's go for one. And so we first came up with the first edition in 2013. And she's like, okay, I'll get my friends along. And she came with Zoya Akhtar, she came with Dibakar Banerjee and Anusha Rizvi. And, so really, that was the first time. I never attended a film festival myself, and we just jumped into it. And that's how the first one happened. And then we realized that we got some good response, and then we're like, okay, I think, let's make this an annual affair. And so 2014, again, we decided to get into it. And then after a couple of years, I started traveling to other film festivals. So I went to Mami, Mumbai Film Festival, Goa Film Festival, started interacting more with, the film fraternity across India. And so even in 2016, I was part of the National Film Jury as well for the East panel. So, so that's how, I got more and more influenced. And then I was like, okay, I think this property needs to stay. Although there were too many challenges, of course, organizing, curating a good lineup of films, getting good speakers. I think one of the key attractions of BVFF is that, we managed to get some good renowned film personalities from across India. And the whole idea is that we should motivate and inspire budding filmmakers from here. Like, today, Boman Irani was doing a workshop with about 25 to 30 people who are, most of them were actors, some were filmmakers. So it's like so inspiring for them to, just hear him, talk to him at such close quarters. So I think, yeah, so we intend to do that. But of course, let's see how we can make it stronger and bigger and better, change the format. We still have a few more issues, some challenges to tackle. So, yep.
So how do you think this would, I mean, the intention of developing the film culture in Guwahati and the Northeast, how do you plan on aiding that, and how are you planning on supporting budding filmmakers who would want to travel to with their films all across the world? I mean, there has been a huge selection, and would there be an after festival support that they get, or how do you bring them in the forefront, and how do you represent Northeast?
So, yeah, so for that, what we, so we were just screening some of our top film, short films from our short film contest. So the idea was, let's identify and see some of the budding filmmakers, So we came up with the contest. We have been running it for the last 6 years. And like Meena just said, we have, the numbers are just getting stronger. The first year was only about 40, and now we have 300 plus entries. The idea is to, get a good selection of short films. And of course, we screen the top 15. We make sure these filmmakers get a chance to interact with all the film personalities who come here. And then we try to place them with 1 or 2 big film directors based out of Bombay. So,
like Ronnie has
like
taken
Ronnie
assistance.
Yes, so Ronnie has taken one of our previous film winners, Jivitesh. He was working in the film Pink.
Right.
And then I think he also gave a chance to Rami Mehte
Right.
for his next film. So let's see how this year goes. We might be able to place again.
Right. And Meena, coming to you, how do you go about watching these films and selecting for people who want to participate next year onwards and send their films? What is the process like? How do you get these films, and what do you do with them? Like, how do you go about selecting them?
Actually, I mean, the festival directors are the one who send me all the films, actually. So, I think there were more than 300 plus entries, and they filtered it, and this time they sent me around 40 plus films, and, I was so happy when the film, it was like very good films which has come up this time, and each and every story were done, with lots of, dedication, lots of creativity. I could say something different in, this film. So it was amazing to watch all these 40 films, and from that we have selected some 15 top films. It was completely,
Right.
yeah.
And when you come from Imphal, right? And I mean, a big problem that we don't know much about Northeast is us North Indians. But your people, your films are somehow putting India on the global map with Reema Das. Yeah, so these great movies are putting India on the world map through, and not just Northeast. So I want to talk about that as a culture, because there have been a lot of disturbances in the border areas, and how has the film culture in the Northeast developed over the last 8 to 10 years? Samujjal and Meena, if you would like to add. Anyone? And also because you made a film on the border issues, so you would know better, and have people gone out and started watching movies and started understanding what filmmaking is? What's it like?
I feel it's a very good time for our region. The films are making a mark all around the globe. Not only one film, I guess plenty of films are doing well outside the region. And yeah, I feel there are a lot of challenges to attend, but still the films are doing well right now. The biggest hurdle I feel still in the region is to raise money for your film. And somewhere the good stories are coming up with indie kind of films, and also some films, some commercial films are coming up. I hope in coming times the region will again produce a lot of more better films.
Right. But there are some states who are providing funds to indie filmmakers in the east,
Yeah.
right? Like Arunachal has their own fund. Are there any other funds like that which are to support the filmmaking culture and to support filmmakers in the region?
Yeah. There is in Assam also we have Assam State Film Finance Corporation who you get funds to make films. Yeah, we do have, but mostly for a starter or the one who newly took up filmmaking, for them it's difficult to get through that process somehow. And I think in that way, BVFF is playing a very good role in promoting those kind of films.
Are you aiding them to reach those funds?
I think so. I think so. It will add up to their experience, and they can get a boost to think that yeah, we can do some kind of films which will have audience. And doing a film is also not enough these days, because you may do a film, create a good content without money also. We have all seen how Rima did. But finding again an audience and distributing the film is a big task. That is again one of the biggest hurdle in the region. And I feel we need more educated producers right now. I was just
Hi,
discussing
Pallavi.
with yeah, of course. She is one. And over there we have Shanabda. So I want those guys, these guys, to take up more of filmmaking, because mostly what we have is we have some financiers coming in and giving us money, and they act as producers, but that is not so. A producer has to have that knowledge of filmmaking. It's very important.
So Pallavi, when you're looking at these films, right, to produce, and you're also promoting theater in the region, when you're looking at these films, how do you go about it? How do you decide that I can put in my money into these films, and there would be a sustainable way where you can recoup that money and get that money back?
So I can tell you about my experience as a producer so I had produced an Assamese film some years back. And so at that time I was completely new. I just had the desire to make a movie, and I wanted to, as a producer, I just did not put in the money just. I actually worked, so I used to reach the sets before even the director or actor, and even the spot boys reaches. I reached there first, and I used to look into every detail of the movie, and I wanted to learn filmmaking rather, So, and finally I actually completely burned my hands. And so whatever money I had put in, I could not recover it. And at that time, the laws here there were some regulations which also did not allow the producers to make money. So because again the film theater, the halls, the theaters, they were very less. But now that scenario is changing, of course. And my movie was a commercial masala. It was like a Bollywood kind of a masala movie. But when I did that movie, and during the post-production stage, and after I released it, and from my experience from it, what I realized is that first of all, you need a very, very good story. You need a very strong story. And then now if I make a movie, recently I made a movie which was just of 1 minute duration. And why I made that movie? Because the story appealed to me, So I did not mind, saying yes to the story in 5 minutes. And I said, okay, let me do it. So now in the future, whenever I make a movie, I will make a movie with a good story first. Then secondly, I will, of course, from the festival, when we meet all these different film personalities, we have also learned how to raise the funds. You know, it's not the producer just putting in the money, that funds can be raised. And thereafter, you know, you have to do it you have to use that funds in a way that you actually finally recover the cost of the movie. I'm not talking about profits as of now, it is just you have to first of all break even. You know, and thereafter you think about profits. And I think you need a very good team in place. Only one person running the show it's a very difficult thing. You know, I think you need a lot of people who should come, you know, hold hands, and then they should go about it.
As a filmmaking community, is there some kind of a collaboration happening in the Northeast within, or just in Assam, where there are ways where you can source the equipments from, or source the entire production requirements?
So I think that Samujjal will be a better person to answer.
There is no collaboration for, I guess, for equipments. We have a Jyoti Chitraban Film Studio where they give the equipments, where you can hire the equipments at a subsidized rate. Like we have a Arri Alexa camera over there, which we get around 13,000-14,000 these days, I guess. I think totally it comes around 16,000. So
For an Arri.
yeah, for an Arri. And we have, have this equipment, and we are planning to bring more equipments, which I'm getting to hear these days. Like government is bringing even more equipments. Like we are getting a color grading system. We are getting some cameras which we can get at a very lesser rate compared to Arri, like Sony F5 or something like that. But yeah, that's the kind of collaboration we have right now. Yeah. And I think, as Chumki learned the hard way, most producers over here learn the hard way. They lose the money, then they go back, they learn it that way. So even as a director, whenever I get into some film, I would be in pressure directly from the financer. Like, I'm putting this money. So I don't want to take that. I want to be focused in the creative process rather than the money side. So we need, I miss qualified producers, qualified investors when I go out to work. And that's where the storytelling suffers, I guess. So the role of producer has to be really defined over here.
Right. Also, because you have beautiful locales in the area, and the whole of Northeast. We were watching Nani Teri Mornian was shot in Nagaland, and it's beautiful. What are the policies here to, scout locations and be able to shoot in these locations, especially where there is, border security and everything?
Yeah, I don't think there are too much of defined policies. I know the Assam state government is having a film tourism policy recently, but I don't know the details of it. But I think the other states like Meghalaya and Arunachal have already promoted film tourism. Like example, Meghalaya did Rock On, then Arunachal I think did Rangoon. So, but overall, I'm not so sure about the Assam state.
But anyways, I feel
they're coming in the FFO purview, right? With this film facilitation offices.
Yes, but it's all like scattered. So it's like
Okay.
all
There's
individual
still
states,
not a single
There's
window
not
to do
like a
that.
circuit for all the states combined.
Okay. So is there something that Brahmaputra Film Festival could get involved in at some point in time where...
Yes, in fact, in between we did think about it, how do we play a role in promoting film tourism. Yes, that's something that we have to work upon.
Right. To sort of create a
yes,
circuit
yes.
within the Northeast and Bengal, all these areas.
Yes.
Right.
What I feel is the question you ask regarding tourism. So one or two films happened last 2 years. One is Rangoon, other one is Rock On. But that didn't help much of the local filmmakers. Because again, we don't have any kind of policy, like they don't,
So
they came and...
there are no unions also, like in
There are
Bombay or North.
there is no strong union over here. So they came and they bought their own guys to work on it. So we don't have anyone from locally who worked on that film. And government is supporting mostly the films from Bollywood. Yeah, they have, because they want to promote tourism. So they are doing the right thing in a way to support Bollywood films. But for us, tourism, it's not working right now.
Meena, we were talking about this for Imphal and Nagaland. If you want to add to to what they said in terms of because these are amazing, beautiful locations when you see them on screen. But the local filmmakers, are they exploring it enough?
Yeah. Actually, when it comes to location, I mean, we are like, very, like a natural paradise, it's beautiful, but our state, like Manipur, it's a very complex society. And like recently with, film invasion like Maricom, there has been lots of backlashes.
But they shot in Himachal and not
They
Manipur.
shot Manipur in Himachal, in Dharamshala actually, and they have actually misinterpreted Manipur in many ways, in many form in that movie. So there has been lots of backlashes also, and though our society is also changing a little bit, but as of now, it's little difficult for Bollywood to enter Manipur as of now, because recently there has been also talk about Shahid Kapoor going to act Dinku Singh or something, and already, there was this floods of, keyboard
hate
warrior,
tweets.
Facebook warriors, already backlashing, like this Bollywood entry. But I think there should be a way out, and
But do you think a policy is imminent now? Like there'll be a policy to shoot in Manipur and to shoot at these locations and how films are made? And
actually,
how are local filmmakers using these locations?
like local filmmakers, I mean, they have got, ample of chances to even go shoot in Burma. Them is shooting in Burma, them is shooting in Thailand,
Right.
more closer that side in the east. And I mean, in that way, we have, tried to, put Manipur in, in various forms in that way. But as of now, it's very difficult for other, like, Bollywood and all to enter Manipur in that way. If it is a very genuine film and maybe they want to cast somebody, if they are, going to do a movie on Maricom and they're portraying some North Indians, and we're not able to accept that, So
Okay.
it's little, complex in that way.
But why
Yeah.
don't locals make another movie on
Yeah,
Maricom then?
that we need producer, we need, we need some rich people to come in and, like,
Hi,
or we
rich
need
people.
supporters to barge in and to do, movies on us actually.
Right.
So it will take some time, but we are picking up, I guess. And like, I myself, doing documentaries, like when my film entered into national award and all, I couldn't believe. And, like, I mean, I kind of made history in my state. So, I mean, I think like we are kind of like festival like this. It's inspiring the entire Northeast, filmmakers as well. So in that way, it's really good, yeah.
Samujjal, like you've also been, you made a film on the region, right? Your Tezpur was a documentary about Arunachal and the borders. When you're making films, when you're making documentaries here, when you're representing the Northeast in its entirety, and go out and showcase these films, do you see interest in people coming in, sort of building on that and
So
trying
much,
to,
so
yeah,
much.
yeah,
Because I feel right now we have the most number of original stories in our region. So we just need to tell our own stories. And it's a good thing, I feel, that we are not a Hindi-speaking region. Because otherwise they would have come here and shot the stories. So in a way, we are preserving our stories for ourselves. Right now,
but you're
gates are opening
preserving
up.
it too long. When are we going
Yeah,
to see them?
we are opening
Yeah.
up. I think people have started doing the right kind of stories and they are getting noticed. I am very positive about the next 1 or 2 years, like how the filmmaking is going to change over in the region. It has already brought in a lot of changes with the VR or the film which he is working on right now. The
Bhaskar.
Senab and Bhaskar,
Senab.
Bhaskar Samis has already created some waves in the film bazaar. So I'm very hopeful.
Yeah, a lot
And
of regional filmmakers are getting noticed in the national scene
So,
now, of
so
course.
Tanu, we were talking about this. Like when you're doing a film festival, you have an opportunity to talk to all these filmmakers who are representing the state. Would you be open to an idea of creating a market for the northeastern filmmakers within the Brahmaputra Film Festival at some point
Yes,
in time?
that's something that's been, playing in our minds. So we want to see how we can do that. So if we want to create a small marketplace here and invite producers and studios and, big production houses to come and, listen to scripts, listen to, stories from here. So yeah, that's one of the things on the agenda as well.
Right. Also, when you're making these stories in regional languages, I'm going to ask you this, Pallavi, as well. We're going to go to the legal side of it. Uh, is there a way where we can sell these stories? Like, Bhaskar's movie is a big hit. I just heard it's been played in television and all that. Then when there are people who are interested in buying these rights and creating these stories, how do you think that will pan out? Like if somebody wants to say, if Rima wins an Oscar and somebody wants to make this movie in Hindi, how do you think that would pan out at some
So
point in
again,
time?
so in that case, the person whosoever wants to make, say, Rima's movie, for example, has to take, because she is the copyright owner right now.
Yeah.
So
No,
she
but would you allow her to shoot in Assam?
shoot in some other language.
Yeah.
That is actually, I think, completely Rima's decision, and we will not be able to, because this is absolutely the copyright owner's decision. If he or she wants to sell off his story to
No,
someone
but like
else,
how Meena said, that we're pretty adamant on
on
representation more than the story.
so it again, it depends. It's very personal. She or people from Manipur would not want to, tell this, want to preserve the story in a different way. And maybe Assam might have a different viewpoint about it. But again, I want to just add on to something that Samujjal was saying. So I got a chance to speak to all these short film directors. And they were talking about that they are right now in this is a golden period for Assamese filmmakers or filmmakers from the Northeast. So they are really excited about being in this era. So definitely, I think to go ahead, to go in, they might have a story and they might want to give it to someone so that their story is being told. They might want to. Because they want to be because if they have a story and they're keeping it within themselves because they do not have the resources, then it is no point, right? We need to preserve it by telling the story also, right? So, so as you were also asking about collaboration, so I think they can all have agreements with all these people and, sell their rights to the other person, sell their intellectual property rights to the other person in the terms and conditions that they would want it to be, Rima might sell it with certain terms and conditions, someone else or Bhaskar might want to sell it in different terms and conditions. But I think this is something that
Will you sell your movie?
No, I'm sure no. I'm just taking you as an example, Bhaskar. Yeah. So, something that this region is still lacking about is the awareness on copyrights. Because copyright is again a
But
very
also that's when
complex.
I want to discuss as well with the literature. I mean, there's an amazing, there's so much literature in this side of the world, and we're not recreating that in film. And would you see, do you see people interested in writing about those? We saw a documentary yesterday called Monaga about this guy who's using tattoos from the region, from the tribes to tell stories. So do you see that happening as well, where you talk about local things and local stories and take them to the world, which is global interest?
So absolutely, I think, right? So because the story that Monaga story is actually an example of how the people of Northeast wants to tell their stories now and wants to take it to the world. Because now with being in the part of this film industry or connected to the film industry somehow, so we have now realized that we can do a lot many things that we initially did not. Because of social media, we know that we are capable of doing a lot many things and we can, reach out to the world. So which was lacking
That's why you
earlier,
have to
right?
tell your own stories.
Yes.
Do you want to
Yeah,
add?
sure.
Again, from the audience perspective, so what I feel, this is my viewpoint, like we can tell our stories, but the language could be in Hindi or English so that we can reach
out
to a
as much
bigger
as possible.
audience,
So
yes.
in that again, I want to tell you about this one-minute movie that I recently made. Right now, it is in a competition. So that movie, so my director told me that because we were finding difficult to get a little child speak in English. So because I wanted it to be in English. So he was like, it's okay, can we just take a child who will speak in Assamese? Let us do it in Assamese and give subtitles. So I was like, no, I want the movie to be in English. It's a one-minute movie. I want this movie to go to the entire India. In 1 minute, if they're reading the subtitles and they are even listening, they might miss out the actual point. So again, so the same thing. So I would definitely want to make a movie in a language that would be, more accessible and more understandable by people.
Yeah, Samujjal. We have 10
Like
minutes from here.
as the good films started coming in the region, we are right now hit by another problem. Village Rockstar is already pirated. It's in the YouTube, and most of the recent films which are released mostly are in YouTube. So
Which
we
is,
are,
I think, a global problem now.
yeah,
It's not
like
just
we are
a
trying
state
to
problem.
because big films, yeah, there is a way out because they have already, like, you know, we have a very small number of halls and all this, so we are badly affected.
Then how do you fight it when you don't have the means and the budgets to even promote your film? How do you fight copyright issues?
So it is something, it is an ethical violation. The person stealing it should start realizing it. That's the only way out right now because, or otherwise, so of course there are punishments for, you know, copyright violation, fines and imprisonment, but we hardly see that actually taking, you know, getting into reality. You know, at times, yeah, of course, there are arrests and all that takes place, but plagiarism or this piracy, it is just a part right now. It is just still a part. It's now people are realizing. So ethical, it's an ethical violation, and people has to
So
realize.
how do you see people screening more films for the local audiences? Do you see a rise in number of theaters in the region, or do you see more channels and people, or people would just subscribe to something like OTT platforms like Netflix and all that? How do you see people in the region and people consuming the regional content in the region?
I think, numbers-wise, Northeast has very few theaters. You know, Assam only has about 30, 40. Manipur and all, very few. Some of the states have like maybe just not even 5 theaters. So I think the way forward is, even if it's in regional
And
languages.
then you have a competition with, international and Hindi films as well.
Yes.
In those
yes,
45, 50
exactly.
theaters.
Like in Assam, it's always a struggle between, Bollywood and local films. But I think the way forward, there's like an audience, like Ronnie Lahiri was saying, there's an audience for every kind of movie now. But the thing is, now there are more platforms for it. So I think OTT, digital is the way forward. So, because, so if example, Bhaskar's movie, I think Kotha Nodi. So I know so many people, Assamese people are watching it, whether they're in Bombay or they're in London or in US, they're watching his movie. And that's the only movie now, like if someone says, oh, where can I get an Assamese movie? The only thing I can recommend is, okay, watch Kotha Nodi on Netflix, So that's how I think,
Bhaskar, no more examples for you.
Yes.
So
yes,
I want to conclude
he's
because
the
then
torchbearer of
I'd
Assamese
open
films.
this up for the
Opening
audiences
up
as
new
well.
platforms.
Yeah. So before we end, how do you see people reaching a scale which can compete with all sort of cinema? Like, you've seen changes in the Hindi film industry, Tamil, Telugu, even Bhojpuri and Punjabi
Yeah,
have seen a
exactly.
huge
Yeah.
scale. But how do you see your region reaching out to a bigger audience by increasing the scale of production?
So I think the stories have to be universal, it has to touch people regardless of language, location. So if we can, from filmmakers from here can, bring up topics like that. So I think then it's irrespective, whether the language is or, so it can get bigger commercial releases. So I think that's what.
And how do you see the Brahmaputra Film Festival? Because this should be an obligatory question.
I think,
How
what
do you
we
see
can
this
do
going
is,
in for the
how
next 4-5 years?
the challenge is how to make it more of a, networking platform so that we can get more producers, more studios, more distributors to come here and, and take stories from here, because we are more creative people. So we are the storytellers, but we need more people to take our stories out, give us more platforms, give us more revenue streams. And,
Would you be adding more screens next year?
Yes, we are working on changing the format.
All right, great. So I'm going to open it up for everyone. You can ask the questions. These are the people who are running the show here. So, yeah, feel free. So can you have that lady there? I saw your picture in the book, so.
No, I don't think so. No, she's not.
Tanu.
Yes. Yeah.
Me? See, essentially, I was going through these short film, screenings. Now, a lot of them have a lot of potential, and few of them are very interesting in terms of the way they have conceptualized the idea. But my only thing is that it's fine. I mean, that is the format, and these are short formats. But essentially, to make a movie, a full-fledged 2.5-hour movie, 3-hour movie. That's what is like, you need to focus young, talented film directors from this region. So, and to do that, I think the essential part is that you need a good, convincing script. So, what about adding a workshop on script, on the nuances of script writing? Do you have any thoughts on that going forward?
So, so we want to do like, year-long programs as well. So it's difficult to have like because script writing workshops take, need
No,
a much longer.
That has to obviously culminate in the film festival, but you have to initiate it as a foundation beforehand. So your thoughts on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have also got a lot of feedback on that. So in fact, we have FTII who wants to, join hands with us to do a, 3-month long workshop. We have had people like even Raju Hirani who said that, I'm happy to come and, help out for a week or so. So there have been a lot of interest, because they actually want to, interact with script
This is
writers.
very interesting.
And I
If
think
you-
this is a problem which is happening across the country. It's not just us. I think
Yes.
we were talking to Shakun Batra yesterday, and they were saying that there are not enough good scripts
Yes.
anywhere.
And
Also, you need to train critics locally. If there are more people to critic films, I think there'll be filmmakers who get better by the film, each film, right? So if there are people who come and say that, these were the problem in the films, that the filmmaker would try to make better films next time. So you train critics with FTII, and then you automatically get better filmmakers. Anyone else? Questions?
And probably also like, you need to have better, I mean, this is part of the film industry as a whole, because someone rightly pointed out yesterday in the course of the discussions that, the remunerations for script writers are not the ideal in
Yeah,
India.
that was me.
Oh, that was you. So, what do you think in terms of like, what could be the way forward?
Writers' remuneration. Are the filmmakers, directors making enough money for the writers to be paid?
I
here?
feel there are both sides. Like few of them are very well paid.
But that is just few of them, to
Yeah.
promote young talent.
Yeah,
And
see, that's true. Like we have a whole lot of revolution. If you see the gadgets that we shoot with today, like from a DSLR camera to a mic to the edit system, like what we
Right.
edit today. But the basic thing, the writing still is done with mostly with a keyboard or a pen. So that's why we need to improve, I guess. We need to improve as a whole lot. Like we need to, I don't know, means even I'm trying to learn.
Yeah, also, again, it's the same. It's the chicken and egg problem. If you do better films, you'll make more money, and then you can pay the writers better.
Right.
I think all should do what Ronnie is doing. Ronnie said yesterday that he gives a percentage to his writers.
Up to 10%.
Yeah, up
he
to
said.
10% he gives. So, which is actually because your entire movie is based on the script, right?
In that
So it's a-
format, our writer will not get any money. An incentive
I
basis of
realize
10 into 0.
10 into 0.
Yeah.
All right. Any more questions before we close? Yeah. Here. The lady here. Can we have the mic? You can take mine.
Okay, so I come from Bengal where the audience is very clearly divided between these, Shri Venkatesh kind of films, which are these commercial, masala, Dev kind of movies, and the Srijit Mukherjee kind of, all the kind of movies that Ritu Kapoor used to make earlier, which are these really artsy, deep movies. So, in the Northeast, do you kind of face that dilemma in terms of what kind of movies to produce? Like, should we make massy movies, or should you kind of go and stay true to topical films of the region?
I think this is like narrowing down Venkatesh films and the other kind of films. For me, most films are like either good films or bad films. So we don't have, I don't see a movie as whether it is a art house film or a commercial film. These days, I think we see a film either as a good film or a bad film. So that's my
But
point.
again, in terms of documentary filmmaking, this, the Bollywood films, the entertainment films, comes really different in front of all this. I think I have started making documentary film because we had lots of issues and conflict in our state, and I wanted to address this. So maybe, in terms of those things, it's a little different from like, filmmaking as entertainment or filmmaking to, so it's completely different for me.
Also, I feel that Bengali cinema has gone through a lot of evolution over the years, and there has been entertainment, and then there have been an audience who's been like listening to Rabindra Sangeet for a long time. So there is an audience. Here we're still facing issues to build an audience in the Northeast, where we want to build cinema halls, build an audience who understand different kinds of cinema, which they've not
No,
been
so when
introduced to.
my question basically is, when you're making the movie, do you kind of keep in mind whether or not like the audience would be responsive to that kind of movie, or is the thinking more like, this is a subject that I want to make a movie on, and whether or
Bhaskar,
not
can you
audience-
answer this
audience
question,
can-
please?
I mean, these are very different genres, I mean, there are different genres of movies. I mean, there are feature, documentary, then there are, human story, there's social story, like, I mean, there are different
So
categories.
if it's a good story, and whether it's a documentary, a short film, or a long format film, people will watch it somehow. People will find, even if it's pirated, people will end up watching it. Once you build that kind of an audience, I feel there will be, and then there are theaters and all these production, which are basically teething problems right now for the region. I think there'll be an audience. Again, there'll be a Venkatesh here also, and then there'll be a Rima.
We screened Spring Thunder, which has been shot in a documentary style, but which is a complete feature film. And that has been, and the story is so engaging and it's so interesting, I'm sure. So that was the premiere here. So definitely when the movie actually is, screened in theaters and all, I'm sure it's going to get a very good response. One is that. And then again, we just showed a documentary. I don't know whether you saw that movie. And it's a documentary, right? And it was so interesting. We were completely glued to it, glued to our seats, So actually the story or what you're telling is important. Yeah, documentary is a documentary. That's what I said, So it finally, what you are actually showing, that is important. So, and the story has to be nice. And yes, and to whom you can have a specific audience, or you can have a large audience. It also it depends on the audience that you want to showcase your movie too.
Once the audience is built, then there'll be different. There'll be pot boilers here also. I mean, like Assamese Amar Akbar Anthony will come soon after that. yeah. We'll take the last question.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My question might sound a little stupid for you people. It's just that we are doing a workshop for actors. We are doing a workshop for directors. For everyone, there is something over here. And end of the day, when we make a film, the producer is one of the important part of the entire film. So my question is, we are doing everything for everyone. What exactly we are doing for the producers? I mean, to educate producers. I mean, we definitely need to educate producers over here.
Buy goods from their shops, buy shops from their buildings. They'll have more money to put in films then. Do you want to add?
So right now, that is a very good question, a very good suggestion rather. So we'll definitely, look into it and we'll do something that, so for the producers as such, like I'm a producer, where I have burned my hands already. So now, through this festival for I've been associated with this festival, it's my 5th year. So, and I have learned. So this has been my, my school. This has been my learning, education. Through this, I'm getting educated. I'm sure there will be many other people who is attending our festival again and again, and they would definitely there'll be a lot to take back for them. I'm sure of that.
Also, essentially, I think you're asking about not the financial bit, are you? Or are you asking about producers as in the production department?
I'm talking about the entire whole part, because end of the day आप पैसे invest कर रहे हो, और अगर आपके पैसे बर्बाद हो रहा है, साथ ही साथ आपके audience भी वापस जा रहे हैं, तो आप script अगर सही choose नहीं कर रहे हो, तो ultimately picture तो win में जाना ही है. तो अगर हमारे प्रोड्यूसर्स को अगर इस चीज़ का नॉलेज हो कि किस तरह के स्क्रिप्ट्स, किस तरह की चीज़ें हमें लेनी चाहिए, तो क्या पता हमारे ऑडियंस हमारे पास वापस आ जाए.
Yeah, I agree with you. The role has to be defined
Exactly,
thoroughly.
sir.
This is the time right now because everything is setting up. Now we need good producers who get everything together
Certainly.
and not just giving money whom we call producer.
Certainly, sir.
So we basically need to have a lot of agreements with everyone here, with all the parties. I'm a lawyer, so I'm talking about agreements all the time. But the agreement will actually define the roles and responsibilities of each of the stakeholders in the film. You know, then their roles become defined. Then the thing that there might be controversies in the future, that is, you know, lesson. No?
Do you want to add? All right. So that's our
one
time.
last question, please.
Okay. Yeah.
One last question.
Sure.
Yeah, so you have mentioned that, you know, for our films to go worldwide, it could be a step to do it in Hindi or English.
Could you repeat? Like
Yeah,
you're not
so
clear.
for our movies to go worldwide, you said that it could be a step for it to be in English. But I'm asking you, is language really that important? Because if we do it in Assamese, and if you're an Assamese filmmaker and you have an Assamese crew, like Rima did, emoting is so much easier in our own mother language,
Absolutely.
right? And we have Japanese films, Korean films that we see with subtitles. So I think that is not a factor that will take you outside. I think the content is more important.
You're absolutely correct. Yes.
So absolutely, I completely agree with you. Why I talked about that, I wanted my film to be in English, is because I was talking about the duration of the film also. I was talking, it was a 1-minute film, and people would take time to read and, you know, see because there were some important dialogues in the film which needed to be, you know, read out or which needed to be heard. So that is the reason why I talked about that 1-minute movie. But otherwise, so of course I remember when I was very young, I used to watch South Indian movies, you know, and I did not understand because I don't know how many of you remember Anjali, this Anjali movie. Yeah, so that was one of the very good movies, you know, many years back. And at that time we did not have the movie in in Hindi, you know, and then I don't think so. There were subtitles also. I actually watched Anjali in the language, in that sound, I think it was Tamil, in the Tamilian language, and I could understand whatever they were emoting. I could understand, right? So that's the case with everyone. And now too, everywhere it's Korean or subtitles are there. So definitely language is not at all a factor. I'm sorry if that, you know, the message went across wrong. I was just talking about the time duration, you know. You have to know in what language you want your movie, because you are telling a story, you are telling what you want to tell people, and it has to reach the audience, right? So that's it, yeah, thanks.
So yeah, hopefully we'll see your film in your language soon. Thank you very much. Thank you all of you for staying, and hope you enjoyed the movie which plays next, and we'll see you today in the evening and tomorrow. Thank you so much.